by a show of hands, how many of you know what MMA means? Okay, got a few people. If you're not familiar, MMA is also known as mixed martial arts. And mixed martial arts is one of the fastest rising sports in all of the world. Early on, it was kind of a barbaric form of fighting because it was not regulated or sanctioned by anybody. So most people, when they think of MMA and they think of fighting, they think of, eye gouging, kicking to lower parts of the body, and there wasn't a lot of rules set in place where you could headbutt and everything like that. And most people thought it was like one of the most barbaric forms of any sports. But ever since UFC, or Ultimate Fighting Championship, came into play in the early 90s, they've come a long way sanctioning and governing everything to make it one of the fastest rising sports. And experts even say that it may take over soccer as the global leader in all sports. A little bit of history about MMA. According to About.com, the earliest form of full contact fighting happened in Greece. It was known as pankration. And what that was is basically gladiators would get together in an arena and they would just fight, just kind of like you normally would see until an eventual winner was found out, whether it be by somebody quitting or somebody was unable to finish the fight. Eventually it became so popular that it was added to the Olympic Games early on in ancient Greece. So it's been around for quite a few years, and a lot of people don't recognize that it was one of the earliest forms of the Olympic Games. Later on in Europe and Asia, it started to spread kind of from Greece to other parts of the world. The early Europeans had their own particular style, the Asians had their own particular style of fighting, and then they started to kind of cross borders and challenge one another in forms of fighting. In the early 1920s, steam really picked up. A man by the name of Carlos Gracie, if you're familiar with a lot of the UFC and MMA fighting, the Gracie family is one of the most well-known fighting families in the world. Carlos Gracie was shown from a Korean master form of judo, and judo is a specific type of mixed martial arts that doesn't involve a lot of striking. It mainly focuses on grappling techniques as far as submissions, where they do joints, where you try to get your opponent in a lot of pain without actually physically striking them. So what Carlos Gracie was able to do is he learned the art of judo, and then he mastered it using his own modern techniques into a form of what's called jiu-jitsu, which is similar to judo, but it involves a little more technical aspect of the game, where it involves specific joints and specific pain thresholds. Back in the early 90s, like I said, the Ultimate Fighting Championship came along, or UFC, as it's popularly known today. One of the Gracie boys and a marketing agent teamed up together, and they created this company based on televising mixed martial arts. And they kind of brought it to the mainstream. Early on, had a lot of problems with, no holds barred. There was not a lot of rules, no regulations. There was no athletic commissions involved. You had a lot of different weight classes, so you might find a real skinny guy going up against a sumo wrestler. They would just put whoever wanted to fight in the ring, let them at it, and the eventual winner, whoever was last man standing, ended up winning. So early on, it was really barbaric, so they had to do only pay-per-view. So a lot of the normal people who were watching TV, who had basic cable or basic satellite, were not able to watch the shows because it was not regulated. But a couple fans decided to jump in at the right time. UFC was struggling. The Fertitta brothers, Lorenzo and Frank Fertitta, along with Dana White, if you're familiar with UFC, he's the president now, bought the company back in 1993 with this vision that they were going to make it one of the best sports in the world. It's taken about 20 years, and it's right at the peak of just breaking out to be, almost bigger than soccer in the world. Right now, according to MMAfacts.com, UFC and Ultimate Fighting Championship are regulated in 48 states. And by regulated, I mean they have athletic commissions like they do in boxing or any other sport. The fighters all get tested before and after a fight for performance-enhancing drugs. They have physicals. They have to get cleared by doctors. And if they are injured, they are reviewed by a doctor and they're suspended until they can fight. So a lot of safety has been involved in the fighters to make it so that everything is safe, and not like how it used to be, where you just went in, you beat the crap out of somebody, and you continue fighting. So according to UFC.com, the numbers have gone through the roof as far as number of events. Early on, they would do an event a year, where it gave the fighters, all year to prepare. You do one event, but the events back in the day, it was a tournament style. So you would fight until you lost. So can you imagine, working out all year, conditioning, and going into like a 20-minute fight, and let's say you do win, you go to the next fight, and you fight somebody who maybe won in 2 minutes. It's just not fair. So they changed the rules. You fight once, and you're done per event. They average about 12 to 14 events a year, which can be seen on national TV, can be seen on pay-per-view, and the average attendance now is 145,000 people per year, and that back in 1993 was only 1,500 people per year who would actually watch the fights because they were on pay-per-view. Not everybody could afford it. So, in conclusion, basically, MMA sports have really taken a huge rise in popularity from the regulations, from all the sanctioning, and from becoming, mainstream. You can go on any TV show, you can watch it on SportsCenter highlights, you can catch, everything online nowadays about every fighter and bio in any event that you want to see. So, with all the vast improvements, it one day will take over soccer as the most popular sport in the world.